Who's ready to go back to Middle-earth? It's been over 20 years since we last saw a proper Lord of the Rings movie on the big screen, and now it's finally happening again. The upcoming film, officially titled The Lord of the Rings: The Hunt for Gollum, is moving forward fast. And these new leaks? They're precious, dangerous, and completely irresistible. We've got returning characters, massive lore connections, and even Peter Jackson himself back behind the curtain. So let's break it all down, because the next trip to Middle-earth might just rival the originals. 1. Gandalf and Frodo are officially back. Let's start with the bombshell leak. Sir Ian McKellen just confirmed that both Gandalf the Grey and Frodo Baggins appear in the movie. At a London fan event, McKellen reportedly teased, "There's a character named Frodo and one named Gandalf. That's all I'll say." Translation: they're both in it. That almost certainly means Elijah Wood is returning as Frodo, possibly in a framing scene or flash forward, similar to his cameo in The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey. Just hearing those two names together again, Frodo and Gandalf, is enough to get every Tolkien fan in the theater line already. 2. Andy Serkis takes the ring, again. This one's poetic. Andy Serkis, the man who is Gollum, isn't just returning through motion capture, he's directing the movie himself. He called it a homecoming. Filming begins in early 2026 New Zealand, with a release planned for December 2027. Serkis says, "The hunt for Gollum will return to the tone of the original trilogy, practical sets, moody cinematography, and a heavy focus on character psychology. Even better, Peter Jackson, Fran Walsh, and Philippa Boyens are all producing." That's right, the original creative team is back. 3. Why 2027? Fans are asking why the movie's taking so long. Serkis explained that it's an ambitious, character-driven story and needs time to rebuild Gollum's motion capture system from scratch. He's working directly with Weta FX to make Gollum's skin, expressions, and eyes look disturbingly lifelike, the best mocap technology ever used on film. Every blink, twitch, and whisper of "precious" will feel terrifyingly real. 4. Legolas could return. Ever since the project was announced, fans have been asking, is Legolas back? Well, there's reason to believe yes. Remember, in Tolkien's lore, Gollum was captured by the Wood Elves of Mirkwood, and guess who's a prince there? That's right, Legolas. Orlando Bloom hasn't confirmed, but in a recent interview, he grinned and said, "Anything's possible. With AI, they can do anything these days." So yeah, he's not fooling anyone. 5. Will Aragorn return? This is the big one. The entire title, The Hunt for Gollum, comes from a lost chapter in Middle-earth's history, the years when Aragorn, following Gandalf's orders, scours the wild to capture Gollum. It's not a side quest, it's the moment that connects the Hobbit to the Fellowship of the Ring. Without it, we'd never know how Gandalf learned the truth about Bilbo's ring, or why the Fellowship even began. So it's almost impossible to picture this story without Aragorn. He's the hunter who finds the creature that changes everything. And here's the best part, Viggo Mortensen hasn't ruled it out. He told The Hollywood Reporter, "If it fits the timeline and honors Tolkien, I'd absolutely consider it." That's pure Viggo, loyal to the character, patient, and waiting for the right moment to return. And since Aragorn ages slowly as a Dunedain, the timeline actually works. He's 87 during Fellowship, still in his prime, which means Viggo could easily return with minimal de-aging. A few shadows under the eyes, a bit of scruff, that same quiet intensity, and boom. Aragorn rides again. Absolutely, here's an expanded version of that section, around 1.7x longer, still fitting your YouTube pacing and tone. It adds vivid lore imagery, emotional commentary, and timeline detail so it feels more immersive and cinematic without slowing your delivery. 6. The story we know so far. So what's The Hunt for Gollum actually about? Here's what the leaks say. The movie opens right after Bilbo snatches the ring from Gollum's cave in The Hobbit. But this isn't a victory story, it's a breakdown. Gollum, shattered and furious, crawls out of the misty mountains into a world he barely recognizes. His obsession with the ring mutates into pure madness. Every sound becomes a whisper of Baggins. Every shadow feels like betrayal. Meanwhile, far away in the Shire, Gandalf starts connecting dots, Bilbo's impossible luck, the invisibility, the long lifespan. Something about that ring doesn't add up. So he turns to Aragorn, one of the few men he trusts absolutely, and gives him a secret mission. Find the creature called Gollum. Learn what he knows. That order sets off a chase across years from the dark woods of Mirkwood to the swamps of the Dead Marshes, through Rhovanion, and eventually into the desolation of Mordor. There, the story reaches one of the darkest moments in Middle-earth's history. Gollum is captured by Sauron's forces, dragged into the dungeons, and tortured until he mutters two words that seal the fate of the entire saga: Shire, Baggins. It's grim, emotional, and perfectly bridges The Hobbit and The Fellowship of the Ring. In many ways, it's the hidden prequel we never got, the missing link that explains how the ring found its way from one innocent hobbit to another. And with Andy Serkis directing, it's not just another fantasy quest, it's a psychological descent into obsession, guilt, and survival. A story told not through kingdoms and wars, but through one creature's broken mind. 7. A Human Smeagol Prologue. But that's not all. Leaked concept art reveals that the film may begin with a haunting flashback: Smeagol's birthday. The day he finds the ring, the day he kills his best friend Déagol. But Andy Serkis isn't stopping there. He reportedly wants to explore who Smeagol was before that moment: his home, his laughter, even his family. We're going to see the man before the monster. This is the part fans never really got to witness: Smeagol fishing in the river, joking with Déagol, living an ordinary life before the corruption. That innocence makes his transformation all the more devastating, Serkis said in a recent interview. This time, you'll pity him before you fear him. It's a powerful promise, because when you start to feel for Gollum, that's when the tragedy hits hardest. The movie won't just show how he lost his humanity, it'll remind us that he once had it. 8. The visual style. Production insiders describe the film's look as a fractured mirror of the original trilogy. Same natural landscapes, but darker color grading, heavy mist, and warped camera angles, like seeing Middle-earth through Gollum's eyes. Sound designers are experimenting with echo-layered whispers, so Gollum's inner dialogue literally fills the space around him. Expect the most unsettling sound design since The Two Towers. 9. The extended cast. Rumors also point to appearances from Thranduil, Elrond, and possibly even Galadriel in cameo form to show how the wider world reacts to news of a creature bearing the ring. Cate Blanchett hasn't confirmed, but she's been seen on a recent Warner Brothers set in New Zealand. That's probably not a coincidence. 10. Themes and tone. Serkis described The Hunt for Gollum as an intimate horror story wrapped in an epic adventure. It's about obsession, addiction, and identity told through one of Tolkien's most tragic characters. Expect a mix of the psychological tension from Joker and the mythic scale of Return of the King. One more journey to rule them all. So let's recap. Andy Serkis is directing and starring. Peter Jackson is producing. Gandalf and Frodo are officially returning. And the lore ties straight into the Fellowship of the Ring. If that doesn't scream worth the wait, I don't know what does. The Hunt for Gollum hits theaters the 17th of December 2027, exactly 24 years after Return of the King. It's been a long journey, but Middle-earth always finds a way back. So let me know in the comments, which return excites you most: Gandalf, Frodo, Legolas, or Aragorn? Hit like, subscribe, and keep your notifications on, because when more leaks drop, we'll be right here, breaking them down faster than Gollum can say precious.